there's the idea within like cultural, education and interculturalism, something I'm very passionate about. There's the idea of like, there's deep culture. In other words, things that like I just take for granted that obviously you believe this because I believe this because I've always known this is the way it is. And this is where we see a lot of clashes coming in. These deep worldview perspectives where it's like, no, this is the way, when I'm sick, this is how my mom takes care of me. Isn't that how your mom,
Right, yeah.
took care of you? And
sure.
But I love what you're saying, and I want to maybe even ask you the question while we're talking about this is like, there's areas that can change.
Yes.
And that we have a responsibility to change those things. Now, I can't necessarily change the whole culture,
Right.
but I can change my culture in that.
Yeah, that's good. I think basically the thought is that, a cultural identity essentially develops, the culture that we're talking about develops out of the most frequent behaviors
Right.
of the members, and so if the people inside that culture are doing things a certain way, like you're saying, for a certain amount of time, it just becomes almost like a traditional, that's what a tradition is. It's the way we do it this way because it started here and it probably has some emotional significance to the group. So that becomes the accepted pattern,
Yep.
but as times change, we need to adjust our cultures so that the identity of the culture can still come through, but fit the context,
Right.
the new context,
Right. And with that is learning how to accept the fact that not everybody shares my same cultural
Which is fine.
understanding,
Yeah, it's
which
totally
is
fine.
allowed. And then now, how do I, because what happens is I build walls rather than bridges. And I think that's the main point of this whole podcast is that we want to build bridges between cultural perspective rather than a wall of like, well, that's your view and this is my view and you stay to your side, I'll stay to my side.
Right.
How do we bridge that gap? Not so that we both agree, but that we agree that we can respect each other. And of course, you and I share so much in common, but there's a lot of people out there that we would say, I don't agree with them, but I respect that they have a view and I can love that person for who they are.
And I would say to your point too about this idea of like cultures where maybe there's like friction,
Right.
Between one cultural perspective and the other. I would say that could be a red flag for either side or both sides of understanding. Okay, cultures when they're thriving, they're able to. They don't get diluted when they interact with other cultures.
Right.
You see what I mean? Like
Yep,
a
I
thriving
do.
culture isn't threatened by, an infiltration of another group or
Right.
or by being watered down or anything. They come alive when they're in a diverse group because they're expressing their uniqueness, and they can appreciate everybody else's uniqueness
Yes.
in that harmony. And so, I think that we can get a sense that maybe it is time to think about how we've been doing things. If everybody around me or certain people around me make me feel like I need to protect everything
Right.
I have with whatever it is,
That
isolation.
defensiveness says something about me.
Exactly.